Hi, you guys. My name is Emily Burgess, and I am getting to talk to you today about something that I am super passionate about, which is really funny because, like Tamara said in the video a few days ago, she pursued me, and I was super skeptical for 4 years. So much so that I threw the samples that she sent me in the trash because I just was so skeptical. And so now the fact that I get to talk to you all about a topic that I'm so passionate about is hilarious. That topic is grit and commitment when it comes to your plexus business. Now, some of you might be here because you just want to get your products paid for. Some of you might be here where, you know what, you want to get your family's products paid for, or you want to be able to help your family where you're paying the mortgage every month. Or some of you might be here because you're saying, you know what, like I want to change things for my family. I want to change things for people all around me, and I'm going all the way to the top. So I wanted to talk with you a little bit about my story. So like you heard with Tamara, she pursued me for 4 years. I ignored her months on end through the samples that she sent me away in the trash. Was super skeptical because I didn't want to be that girl. I was so afraid of what people would think. I desperately needed the products. Our family desperately needed the extra income, but I was so afraid of what other people would think. I care so much about relationships. I care so much about people that I did not want anyone ever to feel like I was befriending them for the sake of my business, because I wanted to make a couple dollars off of them. So that's where I'm coming to you from, because the thing is, you can do this business really well, and you can do this business in an honorable way where people do not feel like you were just trying to make a buck off of them. But that comes with grit and commitment from what I have experienced. So when I started my business, a few things that I did. All the things that you guys have seen here, like the belief, the mindset, putting together your Franks list, doing some training, sending out messages, following up, all of those things I was doing because I was coachable. My upline, who's Tamara, who was very successful, said, hey, you need to do this. I trusted her because she had proved her credibility. Over those 4 years, she had shown me that she was successful, and she believed in me, and she believed in what she was doing, but she wasn't waiting for me. She was moving ahead, full steam ahead. And if I wanted to join, I could jump on at any time, but she was going somewhere. So she naturally built that belief and that grit and that commitment. She showed me that this was not a short term or a quick fix, get rich fast type of thing. It took commitment, it took resilience, it took tenacity, because over those 4 years, I was a tough case. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't respond to her for 18 months, or towards the end of the time, I would say, okay, I'm ready to order. And then she'd send me information. And then 2 weeks later, she'd be like, hey, checking in, how are you doing? And then I'd ignore her again. And, it just is a cycle. So she showed me what it looked like to be a good friend and a good leader, to be patient, to not push, to not pressure, but also to not stop, to continue to have that grit and commitment and that tenacity. So I wanted to share with you, when I got started, I was doing all of those things. But before I did that, I sat down with my family and we started to dream. So that's a challenge that I have for you. If you have not done that, I really encourage you to sit down with your loved ones and you guys dream. So for me and my family, for example, I really wanted to get my daughters into extracurricular activities without having to tap into our savings account, or without having to get into our grocery budget. I wanted to have some sort of extra margin. So that to me was a small goal. I also wanted to get my family on the products, and that was a little bit larger of a goal, but I was having just some small goals as well as some really large ones. I wanted to treat my family to Disney World. I wanted to be able to go and see my in-laws and take my whole family, fly across the country to go see our family. We wanted to buy a home in our dream neighborhood. We wanted to be able to travel over to England and serve at a missionary bed and breakfast. We wanted to be able to retire my husband from his 9 to 5 so he could go and pursue his own writing and his own dreams. So we had a whole list of these dreams. With my daughters involved, they got to share, we want to go to the zoo, to my husband, to myself. Like we just sat and we dreamed. And I wrote those down and I had laser focus of this is what I want. And I'll tell you, I have some friends that have done this where they will say, you know what, I just want a little extra spending money. And that really is great. That's fine. But that was kind of the only thing that they had holding them here doing this. And so when things got hard, or when the comfort zones were needing to be stretched a little, or it was choosing sitting down to work for 30 minutes versus sitting down and watching Netflix and just chilling for a couple of hours, they didn't have like a strong, tangible, visible ambition or goal or why that was driving them to do the hard things. That's where grit and commitment come in, because you're going to have days that are hard. You're going to have days where you're not motivated, where you're not having wins, where you might sit down and you're like, I don't even know what to do. I don't have anybody to reach out to. I'm just going to go vacuum because that brings me instant gratification. So you're going to have days where you're going to have to make the choice to show up. Now, this is me talking as somebody that wanted to go all the way to the top, but this is still my guidance to you if you are wanting to go silver right now. You've got to show up, but you've got to have a really strong foundation of grit and commitment and belief. And I believe that those things come from, let me take a look at my notes here, having value, finding value in what you're doing. Because if you know what you're doing and if you feel like you have a purpose in what you're doing, you're going to show up more, especially when that purpose and that vision helps other people. So you have an understanding of what you're doing, understanding what this could be for you and your family. So if you are unaware of the opportunities at hand, go and watch some Diamond Docs. Go get inspired. Dream about what this could be for your family. I encourage you, dream outside of just getting your products paid for, because there's so much freedom that has come from this business, for my family, for our finances, and not just us, for thousands and thousands of other people. So I encourage you to dream big here. Another thing is to have an understanding and awareness that you will have obstacles. As you're sharing this, it's really easy to get into your head. It's really easy to maybe see somebody make a comment on social media that's not super in support of network marketing. You might have a family member who's not in support of what you're doing. I want to tell you something. I had my sister and her husband, my flesh and blood, unfollow me on social media for over 3 years because I was doing plexus. It was heartbreaking. I had other family members in the same boat, and it was heartbreaking. But I want to tell you, my dad said to me, go prove them wrong. Prove them that you mean what you're sharing. And now my sister signed up with me in 2020 as a plexus ambassador. She's had beautiful health changes, as has her husband, and she's now a Ruby ambassador. So you might have these obstacles that are coming up. You might have people that you're reaching out to, like from Jessica's first guidance. You might be reaching out to people, your best friends, and they're like, nope, don't want to do that. I want to encourage you to not let that ruin your day. Bob Goff, in one of my favorite books called Dream Big, he says, just because I've received a couple of no's doesn't mean I'm going to abandon an ambition, or in our case, a goal or a dream that we have here. He says, don't you dare stop either. No miner strikes gold with the first swing of the pick. So I just encourage you, like you're at the very beginning of this. Enjoy it. Learn from it, grow from it, stretch your comfort zone, but have those understandings of what you're doing has such purpose, and it goes so much beyond you. The beautiful thing with this business is that it's this gorgeous ripple effect. If I share something and it's helped my mom, who is an insomniac for 30 years, to now be able to sleep deep, and then she goes and she shares it with a friend, and that friend shares it with a friend, like this beautiful life-changing ripple effect. because of you saying yes and you doing the hard things. So understanding that there is a purpose in what you're doing here, having visual, tangible goals in sight, small all the way to large. Again, Bob Goff, he says it's important to have a variety of small and large ambitions. Small ambitions give small wins, which will always give you momentum that you need to carry towards those larger ambitions. So go and celebrate that you reached out to 3 people today. Go celebrate that you watched this training video and then get into action. Go celebrate that you have a friend that wants to do this with you and that you guys get to learn together and you get to have this accountability to get healthy together. And who knows, maybe put a little money in your pocket to help your child go and play softball this spring. You know, whatever it is, go and celebrate. I also want you to, as you're in this now and you are focusing on this grit and commitment, I want you to dissect what's going on in your head. What are you telling yourself? I know for me, this is a silly thing as I think back to it, but I'd been showing up to the business for a month and I was all in. Like I had made up my mind, if I'm doing this, I'm going to be successful. I know it's going to take time. I know it's going to be hard work and I'm okay with that, but I'm going to do it. And so I did what Jessica said. I reached out to my dearest of friends. And to me, that was the scariest. It was so much easier to reach out to people I didn't really know or I didn't really have a relationship with, but I reached out to a lot of my good friends. And I'll tell you, none of them joined me. So if you're in that place, know that that's okay. You still can be extremely successful if none of your dear friends joined you. But I want you to dissect what's in your head because I know my first month, I'd worked really hard and I was just feeling the weight of it. And I had worked up the nerve to send one of my bridesmaids a text message. I knew that her husband had really bad migraines. I also knew that because of his ailments, he wasn't able to show up and be a dad. He wasn't able to show up and be a husband. And so my friend was doing double the parenting work. And I knew that these supplements could help him. And I was so scared. And I remember sitting in my laundry room, my heart was racing. I was like sweating, gushing like a shower like sweat out of my armpits, scared to death. And I think I just sent her a text message that said, hey, blank, don't know if this is anything that you guys have looked into, but I know that your husband, blank, struggles with some migraines, and I've heard that these products help. Would you be interested in me getting you any information on it? And I was so scared. I push send. I'm like praying. I'm like almost in tears. And then a few minutes later, I get a text message, and all it says is, no, thank you. Well, to a normal person, it'd be like, okay, all right, that's fine. I lost it. I just started bawling and bawling and bawling. And I cried 6 times that day. And I remember getting in touch with Tamara and just saying, this is hard. This is not fun. I had questions and thoughts of like, maybe I should quit. And I remember her telling me the first couple of months are the hardest, just as it is with any job. You have these learning curves. You're learning and consuming all of this new information one step at a time. Just do it one step at a time. Your dreams and your ambitions and your goals and your family, it's worth the effort. It's worth the no's. It's worth dusting, like shaking off the dust and getting back up on that horse again. And I'm here to tell you 1,000,000% it is worth it. There's a really great quote by Jim Rohn. And he says, the more obstacles you face and overcome, the more times you falter and get back on track, the more difficulties you struggle with and conquer, the more resiliency you will naturally develop. There is nothing that can hold you back if you are resilient. That's a grit. That's commitment. Commit to yourself. Commit to your family. Again, no matter what your goal is, if it's just to get your products paid for, or if it's to go all the way to the top and go open up an orphanage in Africa, have that resiliency. Understand the purpose of what you're doing. It's far bigger and beyond you. Connect with your loved ones. Go and do that today. That's my challenge. Go and do that. Connect with your loved ones and dream. Watch one of the diamond documentaries from one of these leaders here. All of us are diamonds that you're getting trained by. We all have diamond documentaries. Go and watch one with your spouse with your family, and dream. And then I want you to be aware that you will have obstacles. But just like Bob Goff says, just like Jim Rohn says, and anybody else who has seen success, success is harder and it takes longer than you expect, but everything worthwhile is uphill. And you will never regret going all in and sacrificing and learning and growing your comfort zone, because your ambitions, your goals, and your family are absolutely worth it.